So, congratulations and thank you. You've done it. You've bought a copy of the to-do list. So, by now you should have received this letter. And what you're interested in is this line here. Click this link to make a copy of your new file. So, if we click that, what you'll get is a new window appear. And it's asking, do you want to make a copy of the to-do list? Of course you do. So click the blue button, give it a couple of seconds, and your blank template will open. There's a couple of things we need to do before you start using it. So firstly, give it a name. Secondly, we need to enable the macros. We've got 13 buttons in this sheet. There's 4 down here, 4 here, 1 there, and there's 4 more on the to-do page. If you click any one of those buttons, it's going to try and run the macro script. Now, the first time you try and do this, what Google's going to ask you is if you want to authorize the macros. So if you click the green continue button, it'll then ask you to sign into your account, Google. If you're already signed in, you just need to click your username. And then it's asking, do you want to allow these macros to run? Yes, so click allow. And now we've authorized them. So now the buttons will work. So if I click off, that turns that off, on, that's back on. Okay, now, with your purchase, you also get a link to the instructions. Now, I've tried to make them as detailed as possible and thrown a few pictures in there because, let's face it, who likes to read? Not me. So, for those of you that don't like to read, what I was going to do is make you a video instructions, basically going through exactly the same thing. So, if you'd prefer that, stay tuned in. If you're quite happy to read, read away. So I'm going to take you to a to-do list that I've actually used. It's got a little bit of data in it. It's going to be easier to explain certain aspects to you. So we'll start on the setup page. So this white box here, we've got all the features available, which you can turn on and off. So the categories feature is basically you can categorize each of your tasks, which will then assist with reporting and prioritizing tasks later on. Now this box here, we've got 10 lines for you to list up to 10 categories. I've only used 4. Some people have only got a couple. Some people may have 10. 10 may not be enough, but it's completely up to you. This feature can be turned on or off. So if I click off, sorry, it's the first time I've used this sheet on this account. Let me just authorize the macro. Right, okay, click off. Right, so to distinguish whether a feature is on or off, obviously green signifies that it's on and red signifies that it's off. So we turn categories on. You can obviously see this list that we've just spoken about. If we go to the to-do tab, you'll see that column C, there's a category list. So next to each task, you'll be able to, there's a drop down with whichever categories you type in. So if I make one up, A, B, C, that should now become available to select. What the other place you'll see categories is in the dashboard. There's basically 2 versions of the dashboard. There's one with categories and one without. So some of these white boxes will only appear with the category selected. So this one, for example, this one and this one. We'll go into those a little bit more later on, but for now, all you need to understand that is that if you turn categories off, most of those graphical analysis are going to disappear. And in your to-do section, column C will disappear. And so does the list on the setup tab. So it's up to you whether you want that on or off. Next, we've got status. So similarly, we've got a box for you to list your different types of statuses, which again you can allocate against each task. I like to use this, so if I start a task that's going to take me more than 5 minutes, I'll mark it as in progress. If it's something I'm going to complete in a few minutes, I probably wouldn't bother updating the status. Just seems counterproductive. If there's a task that, say, get quote for car insurance, to do that I need to get the registration of the vehicle, say. I don't know it, so I'll put blocked, and I might put a comment, need registration of vehicle. If I could spell registration. So that's what status is for. Again, if you've got status turned on, then on your dashboard, whichever dashboard you end up with, whether you've got a category on or off, this pie chart over here sorry, I think the sound cut off then. This pie chart here will, basically the version it displays depends on whether you've got status on or off. So this is with it on. You can see we've got delegated, blocked, not started, in progress. But if we turn it off, instead of that, you are going to see basically a summary of this. So outstanding, overdue, and complete tasks. And obviously on the to-do page, the status column has disappeared. Next, we've got priority. So this isn't something I really like to use, but colleagues of mine that tested the sheet for me do like it. So each task can be categorized in terms of priority. Now we've just got 3 priorities built into the sheet. We've got high, medium, and low. It doesn't really do much other than obviously highlights to the user which of the outstanding tasks are important, just by color coding them. So you may or may not find that feature useful. If not, turn it off, it'll disappear. Then we've got the Eisenhower matrix. For those of you that don't know what it is, it's a way of categorizing tasks so that they can be plotted onto a matrix, which will then suggest how to prioritize those tasks. Might be easier if I show you. So you'll see on the to-do list, we've got 2 columns, important and urgent. They're just checkboxes. So if a task is important, you can tick it, urgent, tick it. Basically, depending on which pattern you have those boxes selected, the Eisenhower matrix will update with any outstanding tasks based on their selection. So if it's important and urgent, it'll appear in the do box. Obviously, buy wife and anniversary gift is important and urgent. If it's not urgent but it is important, it'll come in the schedule. If it's not important but it's urgent, it'll suggest that you delegate it. If it's not important and not urgent, it'll tell you to bin it, basically, and not waste your time with it unless you've got plenty of time. So if that's something you want to try, leave it on, see if you like it. If you don't get on with it, don't see the value in it, then just turn it off. It'll make the columns disappear on the to-do list, and you'll see along the bottom the tab has disappeared as well. Right, then obviously we've spoken about these 2. We've got this box over here, which is for calendar. So you can create a new calendar. All you need to do is select the month, select the year, click Add Calendar, and there you go. It'll add the calendar, it'll name it accordingly. Unfortunately, October 22, we've not got any data in because this to-do list only goes up to the end of September. But if I take you to September's calendar view, obviously it'll automatically populate the days as they're supposed to be. So obviously October is a different layout to September, which is a different layout to August. There's a few sections within each day which may look a little bit odd the first time you look at it, but once you start to use it, you'll understand how it works. So the light blue boxes, they're for you to free type any notes you wanted. So I stick things in there like I was working on Saturday the 3rd, it was my anniversary on the 6th of September, it was my nephew's birthday party on the 17th. You might have a work night out on the 27th. You can put whatever you want in there. And then the darker blue boxes, there's actually 2 boxes within that. So the top box will show you any outstanding tasks on the day they are due. Now it'll put those in bold. So if we look at the 30th, we've got quite a few. We've got put at least 20% of your wages in savings, research a side hustle, go to the gym once per week or month, and read a book every month. So they're to-dos that I've got set pretty much at the end of every month because they're kind of monthly tasks for me. You'll see that they're black. Now these here are red, and that's because they're overdue. So you see the 15th, that's today, that's highlighted in yellow automatically. But obviously these are historic tasks that I've not marked as complete, so they're in red. So it's highlighted to me that, you know, perhaps I need to jump on those and get them done. So let's pretend we've done one of those. Let's say this one, cross-reference nominal codes on the 10th of September. So if I go to to-dos, find that cross-reference nominal codes, there you go. It was due the 10th of September. Let's say I've done that today. So you'll see that gets striked out, which again, we'll talk about the way the to-do list works in a moment, but let me just show you what happens on the calendar. So 10th of September, that's disappeared. And it's now appeared on the 15th at the bottom, striked out. So that kind of gives you an idea what this bottom section's for. It'll basically list any tasks on the days they are completed in italics and striked out so that you know that's what you did that day. Now I find that really useful for seeing how productive I was on certain days. It just gives me an idea of, you know, when I've been busy, when I've been productive. And you can have as many of these as you want. You can add them, you know, as you go. But that's what that function's for. Again, if there's something you don't think you'll use, then just don't click it. And you won't have these tabs appear. Right, let's talk a little bit about the main function within this tab. Right, so we've got, at the minute, all options turned on. So if you were to turn all of these off, you see it's quite condensed now, and there's not really much you need to fill in there. So it depends how busy that screen is, depends on what you want on. I'd suggest leaving everything on to begin with, and as you use things, whether you find any value in them or not will dictate as to whether you leave them on or off. So we've got 4 buttons on this page. So we've got sort. So what sort does is it sorts your tasks in order of due date. Now you might think that's pointless, but you see I've added tasks in for the end of the month here. Now if I was to add a task in for today, I don't want it sitting at the bottom of the list. I like these to be in order. Whether that's just me and my OCD, I don't know. But let's add a task and let me show you how that button works. So we'll just put walk the dog. category, let's say family, priority, low. It's not important, it's not urgent, but let's say it's due today, not completed, not due status, not due comments, right. And then if I click sort, give it a couple of seconds, you see that it's moved up there now? So it just puts everything in order of completion. What I should mention, sorry, is that when it does order your tasks, what it will do is put any completed tasks at the top. The next button we're going to talk about is the focus button. So the focus is going to filter your view to show only the tasks that are due today or are overdue. So if we do that, we should find that everything disappears apart from these 5 tasks. So let's give it a go. There we go. So now, this is good when you've got a bunch of tasks listed and you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed and wondering what to concentrate on. I think just hiding the tasks that you don't need to think about today really helps with productivity. If we want to get the tasks back, if we click show all, that brings those tasks back. What it also does is if we scroll up, we've got all the tasks we've completed prior to today. Now most of the time we don't want to see these, so if we click hide completed, they disappear. But occasionally you might want to look back at something. So show all, and then you scroll up and you can find, and obviously you don't have to use Google Sheets, Control and F, we can find, and we can search whatever we're looking for. But most of the time we want them hidden. So that's how that works. You've got a comments bar, you can type whatever you want in, and then you've got days until due. Just again, it's just a visual indicator as to where things are sitting in the pecking order. And the last page to talk about is the dashboard, my favourite page. So this is a good overview of the tasks, where you are with things at the minute, and how you've been performing. So I'll talk you through each section. Like I say, if you've got categories turned off, you won't see some of these, but let's assume you've got everything turned on. So first box, task status. Number of tasks at the minute that are overdue, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 15th, due today, not quite overdue. 9 outstanding tasks, 72 complete. 62.67% have been completed on time. Now the way it calculates that is it compares your completed date to the due date. If your completed date is equal to the due date, or if it's before the due date, you've completed that task on time. If it's after the due date, as far as the system's concerned, you've not completed it on time. It's a good measurement, which we'll come back to later on to see how you're performing in certain areas. Right, next box. Very, very similar data, it's just split out basically into the categories. You'll see there's 10 lines here, because if you've got 10 categories listed, you want to see them all. We've only got 4. But however many you select, that's how many you'll see in this pie chart. So, what does this tell me? It tells me most of my outstanding tasks are personal tasks. The least are work. So, arguably, I prioritise my work tasks more than anything else and get those done. Maybe. Next box, we've got 12 monthly performance. So this gives a bar chart view of test performance over a 12-month period. So The graph will automatically start on the earliest due date that you've got in your to-do list. So mine started back in April. If it had been February, you'd be seeing February there. So don't worry that you're not starting in April. The sheet will adjust to suit you. And what you can see here is a bar chart showing the number of tasks you had. On the months where we've still got outstanding tasks, it's split green and red. Green is obviously complete, red outstanding. So I've still got some tasks for August that I've not completed yet. Gives you a good idea of busier months, quieter months. And then we've got a line chart overlaid on the top of it, which shows percentage of tasks completed on time. We've got this axis over here which corresponds to the percentage, but you can see that April, May, June is pretty good, and then July, August, although my number of tasks dropped off, so did my completion rate, but it has improved in September. Now I know why that is, but I'm going to talk to you more about that a little bit later on, because we've got a way of digging into that. One of them is this next one. So this is basically the same chart, but we can now filter it by category. So this is my chart based on my work tasks. So July, August were the poorly performing ones. Family, I didn't even set any family tasks in August, and I only had one in July. Personal, pretty consistent, although my completion rate weren't great in August, and I've not done any in September yet. And finance, again, I was late, so pretty much across the board, July and August were awful for me. It's mainly because it's just the summer holidays and work's crazy. People off, and you're trying to cover 2 or 3 jobs, and you're only really doing each one to 80%. It's not a good time of year, to be fair. And then this last chart, we've got category performance per month. So here we can select a month. So let's say July, and we can see how each individual category performed. Now again, the more categories you add, the more you're going to see here. I've only got 4. And obviously this one shows an average of them all. So if we looked at August, there's enough of the family, which is why this line breaks. July, so July was good for family personal. Work was awful. Finance was awful. It's just, you know, how you prioritize things at different times of your life. So yeah, that's how the dashboard works. And that's it really, guys. It's hopefully you'll find a functional sheet, but it's easy to use. It isn't something you want to be spending hours on every day, but hopefully a little bit of time. Mainly, to be honest, when you have an afternoon when you're wrapping up for the day, review your tasks, update your progress, and in the morning when you're prioritising what you're going to do for the day. I think that's where you'll get the most benefit out of it, and probably a monthly review too, in conjunction with the calendar and the dashboard. I think you'll really like it. So let me know how you get on. I wish you all the best, and I hope to hear back from you soon. Thanks again.